There is a weaker version of you quietly destroying your future. It hides inside your excuses, your fear, your hesitation, and every promise you keep breaking to yourself. If you do not destroy that version, it will destroy the life you were meant to build. Today, you stop running from weakness and begin becoming unbreakable. Chapter 1. Face the version of you that keeps losing. Before you can become stronger, you must first face the version of yourself that keeps creating the same painful results. This version does not always look weak. Sometimes it sounds reasonable. It tells you that you are too tired to begin, that tomorrow will be easier, or that you need more confidence before taking action. It protects you from discomfort, but it also keeps you trapped in the same life. Look honestly at your habits. How many opportunities have you lost because you hesitated? How many promises have you broken because comfort felt safer than discipline? How many times have you allowed fear, laziness, or self-doubt to make decisions for you? These questions may feel uncomfortable, but they are necessary. You cannot defeat a weakness that you continue to defend. Taking responsibility does not mean hating yourself. It means refusing to lie to yourself any longer. Your past choices may have created your current position, but they do not have to control your future. The weak version of you survives through excuses, denial, and delay. The stronger version begins the moment you say, "I created these habits, and I have the power to change them." That honest decision is the first step toward becoming unbreakable. Chapter 2. Stop negotiating with your excuses. Every time you negotiate with an excuse, you give weakness another chance to control your life. You decide to wake up early, but when the alarm rings, your mind says you need more rest. You plan to work on your future, but suddenly you feel tired, distracted, or unprepared. The excuse may sound harmless, yet every time you obey it, you teach yourself that discomfort is stronger than your decisions. Stop asking whether you feel ready. Feelings change constantly, but your goals require consistency. When the work becomes difficult, do not search for a reason to escape. Stay long enough to prove that resistance cannot command you. The strongest people are not always motivated. They simply refuse to let temporary emotions cancel important commitments. Make your decisions before weakness begins speaking. If you decide to exercise, begin without debate. If you promise to complete a task, finish it even when excitement disappears. Your excuses will always offer comfort, but comfort today can become regret tomorrow. Discipline begins when you stop giving every tired thought, fearful feeling, and lazy impulse the right to vote. The moment your decisions become stronger than your moods, the weaker version of you begins to lose control. Chapter 3. Train your mind to obey you. Your mind should be your servant, not your master. Yet for many people, the mind gives the orders. It demands comfort, avoids difficult tasks, searches for distractions, and runs away whenever boredom appears. If you obey every thought and emotion, you will never control the direction of your life. You must train your mind to follow your decisions, even when it does not feel like cooperating. Begin with small acts of control. Finish one task without checking your phone. Remain focused when your attention tries to escape. Stay silent when anger wants you to react. Continue working for a few more minutes when your mind says you have done enough. Each time you obey your higher decision, instead of your temporary impulse, you become mentally stronger. Your mind learns through repetition. When you repeatedly quit, it expects escape. When you repeatedly continue, it learns endurance. This is why discipline must be practiced daily, especially in ordinary moments when nobody is watching. Do not wait for a major challenge to test your strength. Train through small discomforts until self-control becomes natural. The goal is not to remove every lazy thought, fearful feeling, or distraction. The goal is to make sure none of them controls your actions. When your mind learns that your decisions are final, the weaker version of you begins to disappear. Chapter 4. Become calm under pressure. Anyone can appear strong when life is going according to plan. Real strength is revealed when the pressure rises, when people disappoint you, when something important goes wrong, or when your emotions begin pulling you in different directions. In those moments, your mind will be tested. The weaker version of you will want to react immediately, speak without thinking, imagine the worst, and make a permanent decision based on temporary pain. If you allow that reaction to control you, pressure will not only affect the moment, it may damage your future. Calmness is not weakness, silence, or fear. Calmness is control. It is the ability to remain intelligent when your emotions are loud. It means you can feel anger without becoming cruel, experience fear without running away, and face confusion without losing your direction. A calm person is not someone who has no emotions. A calm person has learned that emotions should be listened to, but they should not always be obeyed. When something unexpected happens, your first reaction is often shaped by habit. If your habit is panic, your mind immediately searches for danger. If your habit is anger, your mouth begins preparing words you may later regret. If your habit is overthinking, one small problem quickly becomes a complete disaster inside your imagination. This is why you must create a pause between what happens to you and how you respond. That pause can protect everything. Before replying to an insulting message, wait. Before making a decision while angry, breathe. Before assuming that your life is falling apart, separate the facts from the fear inside your head. Ask yourself what is actually happening, what is still under your control, and what response will protect your future. These questions return authority to you. A weak mind reacts to relieve the pressure. A strong mind responds to improve the situation. Imagine that someone speaks to you with disrespect. Your immediate desire may be to prove that you cannot be treated that way. You may raise your voice, attack their character, or say something designed to hurt them. For a few moments, that reaction may feel powerful, but after the emotion fades, you may realize that you gave another person complete control over your behavior. They created the pressure, and you allowed them to choose your response. True power is refusing to become the person someone is trying to provoke. You do not need to answer every accusation. You do not need to correct every misunderstanding. You do not need to fight for the final word in every argument. Sometimes the strongest response is a calm sentence. Sometimes it is silence. Sometimes it is leaving the room before your anger turns into damage. Walking away is not losing when staying would make you lose control of yourself. Pressure also appears when your plans fail. You may work hard towards something and still receive rejection. A door you expected to open may close without explanation. In that moment, fear may tell you that everything is over. It may convince you that one failure represents your entire future. But pressure often distorts reality. It makes temporary problems feel permanent and difficult moments feel impossible. Slow your thinking down. One rejection is not the end of your ability. One mistake does not erase your potential. One difficult season does not define the rest of your life. The situation may be serious, but panic rarely makes you more capable of handling it. Calmness helps you see choices that fear hides. Train yourself to ask, what is the next useful action? Not, why does everything happen to me? Not, what if my whole life is ruined? Simply ask what you can do next. Maybe the next action is to apologize. Maybe it is to gather more information, rest for one night, make a new plan, or accept that something cannot be controlled. You do not need to solve your entire future in one moment. You only need enough clarity to take the next responsible step. Your body also affects how you respond under pressure. When fear or anger rises, your breathing becomes faster, your muscles tighten, and your thoughts become less organized. Learn to slow your breathing before trying to solve the problem. Relax your shoulders. Sit still for a moment. Give your nervous system time to understand that you are not required to react immediately. This simple practice can prevent an emotional moment from becoming a destructive action. Do not confuse speed with strength. Fast reactions are not always brave. Sometimes they are simply uncontrolled. The strongest people know when to move quickly and when to wait until their mind becomes clear. You must also stop creating unnecessary pressure through imagination. Many people suffer twice, once in their thoughts and once when the actual event happens. They imagine rejection before receiving an answer, betrayal before seeing evidence, and failure before making an attempt. Their mind keeps rehearsing disasters that may never occur. Do not fight imaginary battles. Deal with reality as it arrives. If there is a problem, face it. If there is no problem yet, do not create one through endless fear. Your energy should be used for preparation, not emotional punishment. Becoming calm under pressure requires practice. Begin in small moments. When someone interrupts you, do not react sharply. When traffic slows you down, do not allow frustration to control the rest of your day. When a task becomes difficult, resist the urge to quit immediately. These ordinary situations are training grounds. Every controlled response prepares you for greater challenges. The goal is not to become cold or disconnected. The goal is to become stable. You can care deeply without collapsing. You can be disappointed without losing hope. You can experience pain without allowing it to destroy your character. Life will continue to bring situations you did not choose. People will behave in ways you cannot control. Plans will change, opportunities will disappear, and moments will arrive when you feel uncertain about what comes next. You may not control the pressure, but you can control the person who stands inside it. Choose to become the person who thinks clearly when others panic, listens carefully when others react, and protects the future when emotions demand immediate relief. Let pressure reveal your discipline instead of exposing your weakness. The moment you can remain calm while everything inside you wants to react, you become dangerous to every force that once controlled you. Fear can no longer rush your decisions. Anger can no longer command your words. Chaos can no longer steal your direction. That is how an unbreakable mind is built, not by escaping pressure, but by learning to stand inside it without losing yourself. Chapter 5. Choose the pain that builds you. You cannot become unbreakable by avoiding every form of pain. Growth has a price. Discipline has a price. Honesty has a price. And change has a price. The question is not whether you will suffer. The question is whether your suffering will strengthen you or slowly destroy you. There are two kinds of pain in life. The first is the pain of discipline. It is the discomfort of doing what must be done when you would rather avoid it. It is waking up when your body asks for more sleep, continuing when your mind feels tired, speaking honestly when silence would be easier, and walking away from a situation that keeps damaging your dignity. This pain is difficult in the moment, but it produces strength, freedom, confidence, and self-respect. The second kind is the pain of regret. It arrives when you keep choosing comfort over growth. It is the pain of watching your opportunities disappear, seeing another year pass without progress, and realizing that fear has been making your decisions. This pain may feel distant while you are avoiding responsibility, but eventually it becomes heavier than the discipline you refused to face. You must decide which pain you are willing to carry. The weaker version of you always chooses immediate relief. It says, skip today, begin tomorrow, stay where it feels familiar, avoid the difficult conversation, keep returning to what hurts because leaving feels uncomfortable. It focuses only on the present moment and ignores the future consequences. The stronger version of you thinks differently. It understands that temporary discomfort can create permanent change. It is willing to feel tired today to build a better life tomorrow. It is willing to experience rejection rather than remain invisible. It is willing to feel lonely for a season rather than stay surrounded by people who weaken its spirit. Many people remain trapped because they treat every uncomfortable feeling as a warning to stop. The moment something becomes difficult, they assume they are on the wrong path. But discomfort is not always danger. Sometimes discomfort is proof that you are leaving an old identity behind. When you begin setting boundaries, people may become upset. When you stop explaining yourself, some may call you distant. When you take your goals seriously, others may accuse you of changing. Their discomfort does not always mean you are doing something wrong. Sometimes it means you are no longer easy to control. You must learn the difference between pain that harms you and pain that transforms you. Pain that harms you repeatedly reduces your self-respect. It keeps you anxious, powerless, and disconnected from yourself. It asks you to tolerate disrespect, ignore your values, and remain loyal to situations that continuously break your peace. Pain that transforms you may also feel difficult, but it leads somewhere. It teaches you discipline, patience, courage, and wisdom. It demands effort, but it gives you something valuable in return. A difficult workout may exhaust your body, but it builds strength. A painful truth may hurt your feelings, but it frees you from illusion. Ending a destructive relationship may create loneliness, but it can also restore your dignity. Beginning again after failure may feel embarrassing, but it gives your future another chance. Do not choose pain blindly. Choose the pain that moves you forward. Every important transformation requires you to lose something. You may have to lose comfort, excuses, approval, old habits, or relationships connected to the weaker version of you. This loss can feel frightening because even unhealthy patterns can become familiar. Familiar suffering often feels safer than unfamiliar growth. You may know that a habit is ruining your focus, yet you continue because it gives you temporary relief. You may know that someone repeatedly disrespects you, yet you stay because leaving would create uncertainty. You may know that your current routine is taking you nowhere, yet changing it feels exhausting. This is how people become prisoners of comfort. They do not stay because the situation is good. They stay because the pain of change feels more immediate than the pain of remaining the same. But remaining the same also has a cost. Every day you avoid change, you pay with time. Every promise you break, you pay with self-trust. Every opportunity you reject because of fear, you pay with possibility. Every time you remain silent when you should protect yourself, you pay with dignity. These costs may be invisible at first, but they accumulate. One delayed decision becomes a year of stagnation. One tolerated insult becomes a pattern of disrespect. One missed day becomes a habit of quitting. One excuse becomes an identity. This is why you must stop asking, "What feels easier right now?" and begin asking, "Which choice will make me stronger later?" The right decision will not always feel peaceful in the beginning. Sometimes choosing yourself feels like guilt. Sometimes discipline feels like punishment. Sometimes growth feels like loss. But temporary emotional discomfort does not mean the choice is wrong. You are allowed to feel afraid while doing what is necessary. You are allowed to feel sad while leaving what no longer serves you. You are allowed to feel uncertain while beginning a new life. Courage is not the absence of pain. Courage is choosing the right pain for the right reason. Think about the future version of you. Imagine that person looking back at the decisions you are making today. Will they thank you for protecting them, or will they wish you had acted sooner? Your future self is depending on choices your present self may not enjoy. That future version of you needs you to say no to distractions. It needs you to complete difficult work. It needs you to stop returning to places where your spirit keeps getting wounded. It needs you to choose progress over temporary comfort. Do not betray that person for a few moments of relief. When you feel tempted to quit, remind yourself that quitting does not remove pain. It only changes the type of pain you will feel. The discomfort of continuing may last for an hour. The regret of giving up may follow you for years. When you feel tempted to return to someone who repeatedly hurts you, remember that loneliness may be temporary, but losing yourself again will cost much more. When you feel afraid to begin, remember that starting badly is still better than remaining trapped in perfectionism. You do not need to enjoy every difficult step. You only need to understand its purpose. Pain becomes more bearable when it has meaning. A person can endure great difficulty when they know it is building something valuable. What destroys people is not always the pain itself. It is the belief that the pain is pointless. Give your struggle a purpose. When you wake up early, remind yourself what you are building. When you study while others relax, remember the life you are creating. When you refuse to react to disrespect, remember the character you are protecting. When you walk away from what hurts, remember the peace you are choosing. Do not suffer without direction. There is also a danger in glorifying struggle. Becoming strong does not mean searching for unnecessary suffering. It does not mean refusing rest, ignoring your health, or staying in harmful situations just to prove that you can endure them. Strength is not measured by how much pain you can tolerate. It is measured by how wisely you choose what deserves your energy. Some pain should be faced. Some pain should be escaped. Wisdom is knowing the difference. You should face the pain of discipline, honesty, responsibility, and growth. You should escape the pain of repeated abuse, self-betrayal, destructive addiction, and environments that constantly reduce you. Do not confuse endurance with loyalty. Staying somewhere that is destroying you is not always strength. Sometimes the strongest action is leaving. Do not confuse rest with weakness. Rest allows you to continue. Avoidance keeps you from beginning. Do not confuse fear with truth. Fear often appears whenever you are about to grow beyond what feels familiar. Each time you choose the pain that builds you, your identity changes. You become someone who can handle difficulty without immediately escaping. You begin trusting yourself because you know you will not run from everything that feels uncomfortable. This trust creates power. You stop being controlled by cravings, moods, and temporary emotions. You stop needing perfect conditions. You stop waiting for life to become easy before becoming disciplined. You learn that difficult does not mean impossible. You learn that discomfort does not last forever. You learn that your mind can complain while your body continues moving. This is how the weak version of you begins to disappear. It loses power every time you choose effort over excuses, truth over comfort, and growth over familiarity. The next time life presents you with two painful options, do not automatically choose the one that hurts less today. Look further ahead. Ask yourself which pain will leave you stronger, wiser, freer, and more self-respecting. Choose the difficult conversation that protects your dignity. Choose the lonely season that helps you heal. Choose the disciplined routine that builds your future. Choose the temporary failure that teaches you how to improve. Choose the discomfort of beginning again. Choose the pain that creates a person you will be proud to become. Life will not remove every hardship from your path, but you can stop allowing hardship to be wasted. You can turn rejection into direction, failure into information, loneliness into self-knowledge, and discipline into freedom. The goal is not to live without pain. The goal is to stop choosing the pain that keeps you weak. Choose the pain that sharpens you. Choose the pain that frees you. Choose the pain that builds someone who cannot be broken. Chapter 6. Rebuild self-trust through action. You cannot become unbreakable while constantly breaking promises to yourself. Every time you say you will begin and then delay, every time you decide to stop and then return, and every time you make a commitment but abandon it when discomfort appears, something inside you becomes weaker. The damage is not only in the missed task. The deeper damage is that your mind slowly stops believing your words. Many people think they lack confidence, but what they truly lack is self-trust. Confidence is the feeling that you can handle what is ahead. Self-trust is the belief that you will stand by your own decisions even when the situation becomes difficult. Without self-trust, motivation disappears quickly because part of you already expects that you will quit again. Think about how trust is built between two people. It grows when promises are kept, actions match words, and someone remains dependable under pressure. The same rule applies to your relationship with yourself. You cannot repeatedly disappoint yourself and still expect to feel powerful. You cannot ignore your own commitments and then wonder why your mind questions every new goal. Your weaker self may create large plans because making a promise feels exciting. It says that tomorrow everything will change. You will wake up early, exercise, stop wasting time, work for hours, avoid every distraction, and completely rebuild your life in one day. But when the next day arrives, the plan feels too heavy. You complete part of it, miss the rest, and feel defeated again. This cycle destroys self-respect. The answer is not to make bigger promises. The answer is to make smaller promises and keep them completely. If you decide to read for 15 minutes, finish those 15 minutes. If you promise to walk for 20 minutes, do not stop after 10 because your mood changed. If you decide to complete one important task before using your phone, honor that decision. These actions may appear small, but they send a powerful message to your mind. When I say something, I follow through. Self-trust is built through evidence, not imagination. You can repeat positive statements every morning, but if your behavior keeps proving the opposite, your mind will believe your behavior. You can say that you are disciplined, but your mind watches what happens when the alarm rings. You can say that you are committed, but your mind watches what you do when the work becomes boring. You can say that you respect yourself, but your mind watches whether you return to people and habits that repeatedly damage you. Your actions are always teaching you who you are. This is why you must stop treating small decisions as meaningless. Every decision is a vote for your identity. When you keep your promise, you vote for the stronger version of yourself. When you surrender without a real reason, you vote for the version that cannot be trusted. One decision may not change your life, but repeated decisions create character. Begin by choosing one promise that is simple, clear, and possible to measure. Do not choose 10 things at once. Choose one action you can complete every day. It may be waking up at a certain time, writing one page, exercising for 20 minutes, studying without distraction, or avoiding a habit that weakens you. Then protect that promise. Do not change it because the day becomes inconvenient. Do not reduce its importance because nobody else is watching. Do not tell yourself that missing once does not matter. Missing once may not destroy your progress, but the excuse you use can become dangerous if it teaches you that commitments are optional. There will be days when keeping your promise feels easy. Those days are useful, but they do not build the deepest trust. Real self-trust is created on the days when you feel tired, discouraged, emotionally heavy, or completely unmotivated. When you still act, your mind learns that your decisions are not controlled by temporary feelings. This does not mean ignoring genuine exhaustion, illness, or important responsibilities. Strength is not blind punishment. Strength is honest judgment. The question is whether you are making a wise adjustment or creating another excuse. Deep inside, you usually know the difference. A wise adjustment protects long-term progress. An excuse protects immediate comfort. If you planned a full workout, but your body genuinely needs recovery, you may complete a lighter session. If you cannot work for 2 hours because of an emergency, you may complete 20 focused minutes. The purpose is not perfection. The purpose is to maintain the relationship of trust by refusing to abandon yourself completely. Never allow one bad day to become a broken identity. People often make one mistake and then surrender the entire plan. They miss one morning, eat one unhealthy meal, lose focus for one afternoon, or return briefly to an old habit. Then they say, "I have failed again," and use that mistake as permission to continue failing. This is another form of weakness. A mistake is an event. It does not have to become a pattern. The strongest response is not self-hatred. It is immediate correction. Return to your standard at the next available moment. Do not wait for Monday, next month, or a perfect beginning. Every delay gives the weaker version of you more time to regain control. Self-trust does not require that you never fall. It requires that you know how to return. You must also become careful with the promises you make in emotional moments. When you feel inspired, angry, embarrassed, or disappointed, you may create extreme rules for yourself. You may promise that you will never rest, never speak to someone again, work all night, or completely transform your life immediately. These promises are often based on temporary emotion rather than clear thinking. Do not build your future on emotional extremes. Make decisions when your mind is calm. Choose standards you can maintain after the excitement disappears. A powerful life is not built through dramatic bursts of effort followed by long periods of collapse. It is built through steady action that continues quietly. Consistency may look unimpressive from the outside, but it creates strength that motivation cannot provide. When you consistently keep your word, you stop needing to argue with yourself. You no longer spend hours trying to feel ready. Your mind already knows what will happen. If the task is scheduled, you will begin. If a boundary is set, you will protect it. If a decision is made, you will not reopen it every time loneliness, fear, or temptation appears. This creates inner peace. Indecision is exhausting because every action becomes a new battle. You decide to work, then debate whether to rest. You decide to leave a harmful situation, then question whether you were too harsh. You decide to protect your focus, then allow every distraction to negotiate with you. The mind becomes tired because nothing is final. Self-trust ends this constant negotiation. When your word becomes reliable, decisions become lighter. You do not need to force yourself from the beginning every day. Your habits begin carrying you. Discipline becomes part of your identity rather than a temporary performance. You must also rebuild trust in the way you speak to yourself. Many people break their own spirit through cruel internal language. When they make a mistake, they do not correct the action. They attack their entire identity. They say they are useless, weak, lazy, foolish, or incapable of change. This language does not build discipline. It creates shame. Shame often makes people hide, avoid, and repeat the same behavior. Responsibility works differently. Responsibility says, that action was below my standard, and I will correct it. It separates the mistake from the person and keeps the path forward open. Speak to yourself like a strong teacher, not a cruel enemy. A strong teacher does not ignore failure, but they also do not destroy the student. They identify what went wrong, explain what must change, and demand a better response next time. This is the voice you need inside your mind. When you fail, ask useful questions. What caused the mistake? Was the goal unclear? Did you make the task too large? Did you leave easy access to distraction? Were you relying only on motivation? Did you avoid preparing your environment? These questions help you improve. Insults do not. Self-trust grows when you know that even after failure, you will treat yourself honestly and lead yourself back to the right path. You must also stop making promises to impress other people. Sometimes you announce your goals because the attention feels rewarding. You tell everyone about the new routine, business, book, transformation, or plan. Their encouragement gives you a temporary sense of progress before you have done any real work. Then the energy disappears. Protect important promises until action gives them weight. Let results speak before your mouth creates pressure. You do not need people to believe your plans. You need to become the person who completes them. Private discipline creates public strength. There is something powerful about working quietly and knowing that your progress does not depend on applause. You begin doing things because they matter to you, not because someone is watching. This makes your commitment more stable because it is connected to your values instead of external approval. Rebuilding self-trust also requires boundaries. If you repeatedly allow people to interrupt your priorities, ignore your limits, or pull you back into situations you promised to leave, you teach yourself that your needs are not important. You may keep promises to everyone else while constantly betraying yourself. You arrive when others need you. You answer their calls. You help with their problems. You adjust your schedule. But when it is time to honor your own goals, You delay them without hesitation. This must change. Your commitments to yourself deserve protection. That does not mean becoming selfish or refusing to help others. It means understanding that your future cannot always receive the leftovers of your time and energy. Place your important work on the calendar. Create periods when you are unavailable. Say no when saying yes would force you to abandon something that matters. Every protected boundary tells your mind that your life deserves respect. At first, this may feel uncomfortable. People who benefited from your lack of boundaries may question your change. They may say you have become distant, serious, or difficult. Do not allow their discomfort to convince you that you are wrong. You are learning to become dependable to yourself. The more dependable you become, the less desperate you feel for someone else to rescue you. You stop waiting for another person to provide motivation, direction, comfort, or belief. You begin knowing that even if support disappears, you will continue. This is the foundation of becoming unbreakable. An unbreakable person is not someone who never needs help. It is someone who does not completely abandon themselves when help is unavailable. They can accept support without becoming dependent on it. They can appreciate encouragement without requiring it to move. They know that when life becomes difficult, they will remain present. They will not disappear into excuses. They will not betray their values for temporary relief. They will not hand control of their future to fear. That certainty is stronger than motivation. Imagine waking up with complete trust in your own actions. You do not wonder whether you will complete the task. You know you will begin. You do not fear that one difficult emotion will send you back to an old habit. You know you can feel the emotion without obeying it. You do not panic when someone leaves. You know you will carry yourself forward. This level of trust is not created overnight, but it can begin today. Choose one promise. Make it realistic. Keep it completely. Then repeat the process tomorrow. As the evidence grows, your identity will change. You will no longer see yourself as someone who is trying to become disciplined. You will become someone whose word has meaning. You will no longer chase confidence because confidence will rise naturally from completed actions. Soon, difficult goals will feel possible because you have proof that you can depend on yourself. You will look back at the days when you constantly started and stopped, and you will understand that the problem was never a lack of potential. The problem was that your actions had not yet earned your trust. Now they will. Keep your promises when nobody notices. Keep them when the results are slow. Keep them when your mood changes. Keep them when the weaker version of you asks for another escape. Every promise kept is another piece of your strength returning. Every action completed is another crack repaired inside your self-respect. Every disciplined day tells your mind, "You are safe with me. I will not abandon you again." That is how self-trust is rebuilt. Not through words alone, not through hope alone, through action repeated until your mind finally believes you. Chapter 7. Remove everything that feeds your weakness. You cannot become mentally strong while continuing to protect the habits, people, environments, and distractions that keep making you weak. Many people say they want to change, but they refuse to remove the things that repeatedly pull them back into their old identity. They want discipline while keeping every temptation close. They want peace while staying connected to constant drama. They want confidence while spending time with people who mock their goals and remind them of every past failure. They want a different life without changing the conditions that created the life they already have. Desire alone is not enough. If your environment keeps rewarding weakness, weakness will continue to feel natural. Everything around you is training you. The people you listen to, the content you consume, the room where you work, the conversations you repeat, and the habits you practice are shaping your thoughts every day. You may believe you are making independent choices, but your surroundings constantly influence what feels easy, acceptable, and normal. If distraction is always within reach, focus becomes harder. If negative voices surround you, confidence becomes harder. If comfort is always available, discipline becomes harder. If your phone is beside you every moment, Silence and concentration become unfamiliar. If the people around you complain about every challenge, you may slowly begin treating struggle as a reason to quit. Your environment does not decide everything, but it can make strength easier or weakness more convenient. This is why transformation requires more than adding positive habits. Sometimes the most powerful step is subtraction. You must remove what drains your attention, weakens your standards, damages your self-respect, and keeps inviting the old version of you back into control. Begin by looking honestly at your daily life. Ask yourself what usually happens before you lose focus. Abandon a promise, return to a destructive habit, or make a decision you later regret. Weakness often follows a pattern. It has triggers, routines, places, people, and emotional conditions that make it easier to repeat. Maybe you waste hours because you begin every morning with your phone. Maybe you lose discipline after speaking to someone who fills your mind with doubt. Maybe you return to an unhealthy relationship whenever loneliness becomes intense. Maybe you abandon your goals after consuming content that makes you compare your life with everyone else. Maybe you stay awake late, wake up exhausted, and then use tiredness as an excuse to avoid important work. The mistake is rarely isolated. It is often connected to a system you keep repeating. Do not only fight the final behavior, remove the conditions that make the behavior likely. If certain applications destroy your focus, delete them or block them during important hours. If keeping unhealthy food nearby makes self-control harder, stop buying it. If late-night entertainment ruins your mornings, create a fixed time when every screen is turned off. If a particular person repeatedly pulls you into gossip, conflict, or self-doubt, reduce their access to you. This is not weakness, it is strategy. Some people believe strength means standing beside temptation and resisting it forever. But wisdom means understanding that you do not need to test yourself unnecessarily. A disciplined person does not depend only on willpower. They design their environment so the right action becomes easier and the wrong action becomes inconvenient. Your willpower changes throughout the day. It becomes weaker when you are tired, stressed, lonely, hungry, or emotionally overwhelmed. If your entire life depends on resisting temptation at your weakest moment, you are building an unstable system. Remove the temptation before that moment arrives. Do not keep feeding what you claim you want to destroy. Every time you return to a distraction, you give it more power over your attention. Every time you allow disrespect without consequence, you teach people that your boundaries are flexible. Every time you revisit a place, conversation, or memory that keeps reopening the same wound, you delay your healing. The weaker version of you survives through repeated access. It needs easy access to old habits, familiar excuses, damaging relationships, and comforting escapes. Once you close those doors, weakness begins to starve. You must pay careful attention to the people around you. Not everyone in your life is helping you become stronger. Some people may care about you but still be committed to a lifestyle that keeps you small. Others may enjoy your company only when you are insecure, available, and easy to influence. When you begin changing, these relationships are tested. Someone who was comfortable with your lack of discipline may feel threatened when you develop standards. Someone who benefited from your inability to say no may accuse you of becoming selfish. Someone who felt superior when you doubted yourself may suddenly make jokes about your growth. Someone who only contacted you when they needed help may disappear when you begin protecting your time. Do not ignore these reactions. People often reveal their true relationship with you when you stop playing the role that made their life easier. This does not mean you must remove everyone who disagrees with you. Strong people can accept criticism. They can listen to uncomfortable truths and learn from people with different opinions. But there is a difference between honest correction and constant discouragement. Honest correction helps you improve. Constant discouragement makes you question whether improvement is worth attempting. Honest people may challenge your actions, but they do not attack your potential. They want you to become more responsible. Weakening people want you to remain familiar. Learn the difference. Notice how you feel after spending time with someone. Do you feel focused, respected, and encouraged to take responsibility? Or do you feel emotionally drained, distracted, guilty, and pulled back toward habits you are trying to leave? Your energy is valuable. Stop giving unlimited access to people who repeatedly leave your mind in chaos. Distance does not always require anger. You do not need a dramatic argument or a long explanation. Sometimes you simply stop being available for every conversation. You stop visiting places where you lose control of yourself. You stop sharing your goals with people who treat them as entertainment. Let your distance be calm. You are not punishing anyone. You are protecting the person you are becoming. There may also be relationships you need to end completely. If someone repeatedly humiliates, manipulates, uses, or damages you, keeping them close is not proof of strength. Forgiveness does not always require continued access. You can release anger without reopening the door. Some people belong in your past because every return brings back the version of you that you are trying to destroy. You must also remove the need to be understood by everyone. This need feeds weakness because it keeps you explaining your decisions to people who have already chosen not to respect them. You waste energy defending your boundaries, goals, and changes to people who are more interested in debating you than understanding you. You do not need permission to protect your life. When your decisions are healthy, responsible, and connected to your future, let your actions speak. People may misunderstand your silence. They may create stories about your distance. They may say you have changed. They are right. You are supposed to change. Growth means some people will no longer recognize the version of you they could easily influence. Do not return to weakness simply to make others comfortable with your identity. Another source of weakness is the content you consume. Your mind cannot remain powerful if you constantly feed it noise, outrage, comparison, fear, and meaningless entertainment. What you watch and listen to becomes part of your internal voice. If you spend hours watching other people display perfect lives, your own progress may begin feeling too slow. If you constantly consume arguments and negativity, your mind may remain angry even when nothing is happening in your real life. If you fill every quiet moment with entertainment, you may lose the ability to sit with yourself, think deeply, and complete difficult work. Your attention is not unlimited. Every unnecessary piece of content consumes mental energy you could have used to build your future. Before opening an application, ask yourself why you are there. Are you searching for something useful or escaping from something important? Are you learning or merely avoiding silence? Are you connecting or comparing? The weaker version of you loves endless consumption because consumption feels active without requiring courage. You can watch advice for hours and still avoid taking action. You can collect motivational videos and remain unchanged. You can save hundreds of useful ideas without applying one. Information does not transform you until it becomes behavior. Choose fewer voices, study what matters, apply what you learn, then return to your own work. Your physical space also affects your mental state. A chaotic environment can make it easier to feel distracted and overwhelmed. You do not need a perfect room or expensive equipment, but you need a place where your mind understands that important work happens. Clean the space where you work. Remove objects that constantly interrupt you. Keep the tools you need close and distractions farther away. Prepare your clothes, books, notes, or equipment before the moment of action arrives. Reduce unnecessary decisions. Every small decision can become an opportunity for your weak mind to negotiate. If you decide in advance when you will work, where you will work, and what you will complete, you remove many chances to escape. Preparation is a form of discipline. Prepare the night before. Write down the most important task. Place your phone outside the room. Create a clear beginning and ending time. When the moment arrives, do not ask yourself what you feel like doing. Follow the plan you created while thinking clearly. You must also remove language that feeds weakness. The words you repeat become instructions to your mind. When you constantly say, "I cannot focus," "I always fail," "I am not disciplined," or "this is just who I am," you turn temporary struggles into permanent identities. Speak honestly, but do not speak hopelessly. Instead of saying you cannot focus, say you are training your focus. Instead of saying you always quit, say you have quit before, but are learning to continue. Instead of saying you are weak, say you have allowed weak habits to grow and are now replacing them. This is not pretending. It is refusing to make your past behavior your final identity. Your words should create responsibility, not excuses. Remove the habit of blaming everything outside yourself. You may have experienced unfair treatment, limited support, painful rejection, or difficult circumstances. These things matter. They may explain why certain habits developed, but explanation must not become permanent permission. The moment you believe everyone else controls your future, you give away your power. You may not be responsible for everything that happened to you, but you are responsible for what you build from here. Blame keeps your attention on who created the wound. Responsibility turns your attention toward who can heal it. Remove the expectation that someone else will arrive and organize your life for you. Nobody can practice discipline on your behalf. Nobody can make your difficult decisions. Support can help, but the final action still belongs to you. Another thing you must remove is constant comparison. Comparison feeds weakness because it makes you judge your beginning against someone else's middle. You see their results, but not their years of effort, failures, sacrifices, and private struggles. Then you use their progress as evidence that you are behind. Your path does not need to look like theirs. Compare yourself with the person you were yesterday. Are your decisions becoming stronger? Are you keeping more promises? Are you wasting less time? Are you recovering faster after mistakes? These changes matter, even when nobody else can see them. You do not need to win someone else's race. You need to stop abandoning your own. Remove the belief that progress must always feel exciting. Many weak habits survive because people think boredom means something is wrong. They begin a routine with energy, but when the routine becomes repetitive, they search for something new. Real growth is often repetitive. The same exercises, the same study hours, the same boundaries, the same early mornings, and the same difficult choices may need to be repeated for months. The weak mind demands novelty. The strong mind understands that mastery comes from returning to the basics until they become part of you. Do not destroy progress because it stopped entertaining you. Remove the need for immediate results. When effort is not rewarded quickly, the weaker version of you may say the process is not working. It will encourage you to quit, change direction, or return to what feels easier. But important change is often invisible before it becomes obvious. You may be building focus before producing visible success. You may be repairing self-trust before feeling confident. You may be strengthening your body before anyone notices. You may be healing emotionally before the loneliness becomes peaceful. Continue. A seed does not become useless because you cannot see the growth happening underground. Protect the process long enough for the result to appear. You must also remove unnecessary commitments. A life crowded with obligations leaves little room for transformation. You may be saying yes to too many invitations, requests, conversations, and responsibilities because you fear disappointing people. But every yes has a cost. When you say yes to something unimportant, you may be saying no to rest, focus, health, or progress. Learn to ask whether each commitment supports the life you are building or simply keeps you busy. Busy is not the same as productive. Exhausted is not the same as successful. Remove what has no purpose. This may include possessions you never use, routines you never question, conversations that go nowhere, and goals you no longer truly want. Mental strength requires clarity, And clarity becomes difficult when your life is full of things you are carrying only because you are afraid to let them go. Letting go creates space. Space allows you to think. It allows you to hear your own values instead of constantly reacting to outside demands. It allows your energy to move toward the few things that genuinely matter. You may feel empty when you begin removing old habits and relationships. The chaos that once distracted you is gone, but the new life has not yet fully formed. This stage can be uncomfortable. Silence may feel lonely. Discipline may feel unfamiliar. A peaceful routine may feel boring after years of emotional drama. Do not mistake unfamiliarity for wrongness. Your nervous system may have become used to chaos. Peace can feel strange when struggle has been normal for too long. Give yourself time to adjust. Do not return to the fire because the quiet room feels unfamiliar. Fill the empty space carefully. Replace destructive habits with actions that strengthen you. Replace endless scrolling with reading, walking, learning, or focused rest. Replace negative conversations with silence or time around people who respect growth. Replace emotional escape with honest reflection. Removal without replacement can create a vacuum. Build something better in the space you have cleared. Create routines that protect your strongest hours. Spend time with people whose actions challenge you to improve. Choose content that gives you useful ideas rather than temporary stimulation. Keep your environment simple enough that your mind can breathe. The stronger version of you needs support too. Give it conditions where it can survive. Remember that this process is not about creating a perfect life. Temptation will still appear. Difficult people will still exist. Distractions will still find new forms. You will still experience moments of weakness, but the goal is to stop making weakness effortless. When the wrong choice requires more work and the right choice is prepared in advance, your chance of staying disciplined increases. When damaging people no longer have immediate access to you, your peace becomes easier to protect. When your environment reminds you of your goals instead of your excuses, your identity begins changing faster. You become what your life repeatedly encourages. Look around and ask yourself whether your current environment is feeding the person you want to become or preserving the person you are trying to leave behind. Then make a decision. Remove one distraction, end one damaging pattern. Protect one important boundary. Create one space where your future can grow. Do not wait until you feel completely ready. The weak version of you will never approve of the changes that threaten its survival. It will tell you that deleting the distraction is extreme. It will say distancing yourself from certain people is unfair. It will convince you that you can keep everything the same and somehow become different. Do not believe it. You cannot carry every old habit into a new life. Something must be left behind. Leave behind the conversations that reduce your ambition. Leave behind the entertainment that destroys your attention. Leave behind the relationships that survive only when you abandon yourself. Leave behind the excuses that make weakness sound reasonable. You are not losing your life. You are clearing the path toward it. The moment you stop feeding weakness, strength finally has room to grow. Your mind becomes quieter, your decisions become clearer, your standards become easier to protect. You begin recognizing how much energy was being stolen by things that never deserved it. Remove what weakens you, not once but continuously. Review your life as you grow. Something that helped you in one season may hold you back in another. Stay honest enough to release whatever no longer supports the person you are becoming. Your future does not need more promises. It needs protection. Protect it from distraction. Protect it from emotional chaos. Protect it from people who only respect the weaker version of you. Protect it from the habits that keep stealing tomorrow. Once you remove what feeds your weakness, you will discover that becoming strong was not always about forcing yourself to do more. Sometimes it was about finally having the courage to let go of everything that kept making you less. Chapter 8. Become the person who cannot be broken. Becoming unbreakable does not mean becoming someone who never feels pain. It does not mean you stop caring, stop trusting, or stop experiencing disappointment. It means pain no longer controls the direction of your life. It means rejection can hurt you without defining you. Failure can slow you down without ending your journey. And betrayal can teach you without turning your heart into something bitter. The strongest version of you is not emotionless. It is emotionally disciplined. You still feel fear, sadness, anger, and uncertainty, but those feelings are no longer allowed to make every decision. You learn to experience difficult emotions without becoming trapped inside them. You allow yourself to feel what is real, but you refuse to build your identity around a temporary moment. Many people believe they are broken because something painful happened to them. Someone left, a dream failed, a trusted person betrayed them, or life changed in a way they never expected. The event was painful, but what often creates lasting suffering is the meaning they attach to it. They begin saying, "I was not enough. I cannot trust myself. Nothing will ever work for me. I will always be alone." One experience becomes a permanent conclusion. You must stop allowing one chapter to describe your entire life. A rejection means one door closed. It does not mean you have no value. A failure means one attempt did not succeed. It does not mean you are incapable. Someone leaving means they made a choice. It does not mean you are impossible to love. A mistake means your judgment failed in one moment. It does not mean your future must remain damaged. The person who cannot be broken knows how to separate what happened from who they are. You may have failed, but you are not failure. You may have been abandoned, but you are not unworthy. You may have trusted the wrong person, but you are not foolish forever. You may have lost your direction, but you are not permanently lost. This separation gives you room to rebuild. Your identity should not be created by your worst day. It should be shaped by the way you respond after that day. Life will test every lesson you have learned. It is easy to speak about discipline when nothing is demanding your comfort. It is easy to speak about courage when fear has not entered the room. It is easy to say you have changed when nobody is offering you the same temptation that once controlled you. The real test comes when the old door opens again. The person who hurt you may return with familiar words. The habit you tried to destroy may call you during a moment of weakness. The opportunity to quit may appear when your progress feels slow. The same pressure may return in a different form. This is where your new identity must answer. Do not ask whether the temptation still feels powerful. Ask whether you are willing to become the same person again. You already know where the old choices lead. You know the emptiness after abandoning your standards. You know the regret that follows temporary relief. You know how it feels to look at yourself and realize you gave away your power again. Do not repeat a painful lesson simply because the test arrived wearing a familiar face. An unbreakable person remembers. They remember what the distraction cost. They remember what happened when they ignored the warning signs. They remember how long it took to rebuild their focus, dignity, and peace. That memory becomes protection, not punishment. Your past should teach you, not imprison you. There is no value in repeatedly attacking yourself for who you used to be. The weaker version of you made choices from the awareness, habits, and emotional condition it had at that time. You can take responsibility without spending the rest of your life in shame. Shame says, "I am damaged." Responsibility says, "I made damaging choices, and now I will make better ones." The difference is important. Shame keeps your attention on what cannot be changed. Responsibility directs your energy toward what can still be built. Forgive yourself, but do not excuse yourself. Forgiveness allows you to stop carrying unnecessary hatred. Responsibility ensures that the lesson remains. You are not required to punish yourself forever to prove that you regret the past. The greatest proof is becoming someone who no longer repeats it. Your transformation should be visible in your decisions. You respond differently when disrespected. You stop chasing people who are comfortable losing you. You complete what you once abandoned. You protect the time you once wasted. You face the conversations you once avoided. You remain calm in situations that once made you lose control. That is real change, not an announcement, not a temporary burst of motivation, a different response under familiar pressure. Becoming unbreakable also means accepting that nobody is coming to remove every difficulty from your path. People may support you, guide you, love you, and stand beside you, but there will still be moments when the final decision belongs only to you. Nobody can force you to remain disciplined. Nobody can control your thoughts for you. Nobody can heal the parts of you that you refuse to face. This truth is not meant to make you feel alone. It is meant to return your power. When you stop waiting for rescue, you begin noticing what is already in your hands. You can control what you practice today. You can choose which voices receive your attention. You can decide whether one mistake becomes an excuse or a lesson. You can protect your peace without waiting for everyone to understand. Your power begins where your excuses end. The unbreakable person does not avoid asking for help. They simply do not confuse help with rescue. Asking for support is wise when support is available. Depending on someone else to make every difficult decision is dangerous. You must become capable of standing even when encouragement disappears. There will be days when nobody praises your effort. Nobody may notice that you resisted an old habit, completed difficult work, or remained calm when you wanted to react. These private victories still matter. In fact, they matter more than public applause. Public praise can encourage you, but private discipline changes you. The person you become when nobody is watching is the person who will appear when life becomes difficult. Train that person carefully. Do the work without needing immediate recognition. Protect your standards when breaking them would remain hidden. Speak honestly even when a lie would be easier. Keep promises that only you know you made. Every private choice becomes part of your character. Character is what remains when motivation disappears. Motivation may help you begin, but it cannot carry you through every season. Some days you will feel powerful. Other days you will question everything. The person who cannot be broken does not require the same emotional energy every day. They have learned to act with different levels of motivation. On strong days, they move quickly. On difficult days, they move slowly, but they continue moving. This is important because weakness often hides inside an all-or-nothing mindset. You believe that if you cannot perform perfectly, there is no reason to act. If you cannot work for 3 hours, you do nothing. If you miss one part of your routine, you abandon the entire day. If progress becomes slower, you assume it has stopped. An unbreakable person refuses this trap. They adjust without surrendering. When energy is low, they complete the minimum that keeps the promise alive. When plans change, they create another path. When they fall behind, they begin from where they are, instead of wasting more time wishing they were somewhere else. Flexibility is not weakness. It is survival. A rigid tree may snap in a violent storm. A flexible tree bends, absorbs the pressure, and remains standing. Your life also requires this ability. Plans may fail. Timelines may change. People you expected to stay may leave. The exact path you imagined may become impossible. Your purpose can remain even when the plan changes. Do not become so attached to one method that you abandon your entire future when that method stops working. Adapt, learn, change your strategy without changing your commitment. Being unbreakable means you can lose one path without losing yourself. You must also build a relationship with discomfort. Life will never become completely free from uncertainty, boredom, pressure, or fear. If your happiness depends on avoiding these experiences, you will remain fragile. Fragility is not always caused by pain. Sometimes it is caused by never practicing how to handle pain. A person who avoids every difficult conversation becomes terrified of conflict. A person who escapes every uncomfortable emotion becomes controlled by feelings. A person who quits whenever progress becomes slow never develops endurance. Expose yourself to useful difficulty. Do the task you have been avoiding. Speak the truth respectfully. Spend time without constant entertainment. Enter situations that challenge your confidence. Allow yourself to be a beginner without running away from embarrassment. Each controlled encounter with discomfort teaches your mind that difficulty is survivable. Fear grows when everything unfamiliar is avoided. Courage grows when fear is faced in manageable steps. Do not wait until you feel fearless. Fearlessness is often the result of repeated action, not the condition required before it. You become brave by moving while fear is present. The first step may feel uncomfortable. The second may still feel difficult. But with each step, your mind receives new evidence. It learns that the imagined disaster did not destroy you. It learns that rejection can be handled, embarrassment can pass, and uncertainty does not always mean danger. This evidence makes you harder to stop. You should also understand that becoming stronger may change your relationships. Some people connected with you through your wounds. They were comfortable when you had no boundaries, doubted yourself, and remained available whenever they needed you. Your healing may disturb the role they expected you to play. Do not become smaller to preserve a connection that survives only through your weakness. Healthy people may need time to understand your change, but they will respect your growth. Unhealthy people will demand access to the version of you that benefited them. Pay attention to the difference. You are not responsible for maintaining every relationship exactly as it was. Growth changes what you tolerate, what you discuss, and how you spend your energy. Some relationships will deepen because you become more honest. Others will fade because they depended on your lack of self-respect. Let what is false fall away. Do not chase every person who becomes distant. When you develop standards, their departure may create space for people who can respect your stronger identity. This does not mean becoming arrogant. Strength without humility becomes another form of weakness. An unbreakable person does not need to prove superiority. They know that everyone is carrying struggles they cannot always see. They can be confident without humiliating others. They can protect boundaries without becoming cruel. They can leave without seeking revenge. They can recognize manipulation without losing their ability to care. Do not let pain teach you the wrong lesson. If someone betrayed you, the lesson is not that everyone is dangerous. The lesson is that trust should be supported by evidence. If someone used your kindness, the lesson is not that kindness is weakness. The lesson is that kindness needs boundaries. If someone left, the lesson is not that attachment is foolish. The lesson is that your identity must not depend on another person staying. Pain should make you wiser, not colder. A cold heart may appear strong because it avoids vulnerability, but complete emotional shutdown is not freedom. It is fear wearing armor. The person who cannot be broken is strong enough to remain human. They can care while observing carefully. They can love without abandoning themselves. They can trust gradually without ignoring patterns. Their strength protects their goodness instead of destroying it. You must also stop measuring strength by how much suffering you hide. Some people believe being unbreakable means never speaking about pain, never resting, and never admitting they need support. They carry everything silently until exhaustion destroys them. That is not strength. It is neglect. Real strength includes knowing when to pause, when to seek advice, and when to admit that something is becoming too heavy to carry alone. You do not become powerful by pretending you have no limits. You become powerful by understanding your limits and managing them wisely. Rest before exhaustion becomes collapse. Speak before unprocessed pain becomes bitterness. Ask for guidance before pride turns a manageable problem into a crisis. Recovery is part of discipline. A weapon that is never maintained eventually fails. A mind that is constantly pushed without rest becomes less focused, more emotional, and easier to control. Protect your sleep, health, and moments of silence. These are not rewards for finishing the work. They are part of the system that allows you to continue. But be honest about the difference between recovery and avoidance. Recovery restores your ability to act. Avoidance delays the action because you do not want to feel discomfort. Rest ends with renewed energy. Escape keeps extending itself. The unbreakable person knows when they are healing and when they are hiding. Another important part of becoming unbreakable is developing a purpose larger than your mood. When life becomes painful, people often ask why they should continue. If their only reason was temporary excitement, approval, or comfort, they quickly lose direction. You need a reason that survives difficult days. Your reason may be the future you want to create, the family you hope to support, the person you promised yourself you would become, or the responsibility you carry. Whatever it is, make it clear. A clear purpose gives pain a place to go. Without purpose, hardship feels like meaningless suffering. With purpose, hardship becomes part of preparation. The early mornings, repeated failures, difficult decisions, and lonely seasons begin serving something greater. You stop asking whether every day feels good. You ask whether your actions are moving you toward the life that matters. Do not expect purpose to remove pain. It gives you a reason not to waste it. Your struggles can become useful if you allow them to develop qualities that comfort could never teach. Rejection can teach self-reliance. Failure can teach humility and strategy. Loneliness can teach you how to enjoy your own presence. Betrayal can sharpen judgment. Pressure can reveal where your discipline still needs work. Nothing painful automatically makes you stronger. Pain can also make you bitter, fearful, and destructive. Strength comes from what you choose to do with the experience. Ask better questions. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What is this showing me? What weakness has been exposed? What boundary was missing? What skill must be developed? What truth have you been avoiding? What part of your identity has become too dependent on something outside your control?" These questions turn pain into information. You stop seeing every struggle as an attack and begin treating some struggles as instruction. This does not mean pretending injustice is good or denying that something hurt you. It means refusing to let the experience leave you with nothing except damage. Take the lesson, leave the poison. Another sign of an unbreakable person is their ability to begin again. Many people can start once. Few can restart after embarrassment, disappointment, or failure. Beginning again requires humility. You must admit that the previous plan did not work. You must accept that progress was lost. You may have to return as a beginner after imagining you would be much further ahead. Do not let pride keep you trapped. There is no shame in rebuilding. The shame would be knowing you can rise and choosing to remain on the ground because you are afraid of how the new beginning looks. Start from the truth. If you have lost discipline, begin with one promise. If you have damaged your confidence, begin with one courageous action. If your life has become chaotic, organize one part of it. If you have returned to an old habit, close the door again. You do not need a perfect restart. You need an honest one. The person who cannot be broken may fall many times, but they become skilled at returning. Their recovery time becomes shorter. They stop spending weeks attacking themselves after one mistake. They correct the behavior quickly and continue. This ability is more valuable than perfection. Perfection makes you afraid of mistakes. Resilience teaches you that mistakes can be repaired. Life does not require you to avoid every fall. It requires you to stop building a home on the ground. Rise. Rise while disappointed. Rise while embarrassed. Rise while uncertain. Rise without waiting for everyone to believe you can. Your return will not always be dramatic. Sometimes rising means taking a shower, cleaning your room, answering one important message, and completing the next task. Do not underestimate ordinary acts of recovery. A life is often rebuilt through simple decisions, repeated after a difficult season. You must also accept that strength is never permanently completed. You do not reach one final day when weakness disappears forever. Old habits may become quieter, but they can return when you stop paying attention. Fear may lose control, but new challenges will reveal deeper layers of it. Remain aware. Do not become careless because you have made progress. Protect the routines, boundaries, and standards that helped you become stronger. Success can sometimes weaken a person if it makes them believe they no longer need discipline. The habits that helped you rise are the habits that will help you remain standing. Keep doing the basic things. Keep your promises. Protect your attention. Choose your environment carefully. Speak to yourself with honesty. Face discomfort before it grows. Rest without abandoning your purpose. You do not outgrow these principles. You grow through them. The final transformation happens when strength stops feeling like something you perform and becomes part of your identity. You no longer force yourself to act like a disciplined person. You simply know that you complete what matters. You no longer announce that you have boundaries. You calmly protect them. You no longer beg for respect. You leave places where disrespect becomes normal. Your life begins matching your standards. This identity is built every day. Every time you choose silence over an impulsive reaction, you strengthen it. Every time you work without motivation, you strengthen it. Every time you refuse to return to something that nearly destroyed you, you strengthen it. Every time you face a difficult truth without escaping, you strengthen it. You are always becoming someone through your repeated choices. Make sure you recognize the person you are creating. Do not become strong only in public and weak in private. Do not speak about discipline while secretly obeying every impulse. Do not ask life for greater opportunities while remaining careless with the small responsibilities already in your hands. Integrity means your private actions agree with your public identity. That agreement creates peace because you no longer need to pretend. You know your strength is real. You have seen it during the moments nobody else witnessed. You were there when fear told you to stop and you continued. You were there when loneliness asked you to return to the wrong person and you remained alone. You were there when anger wanted your voice and you chose control. Those moments built you, not the speeches, not the compliments, the choices. The person who cannot be broken does not need life to become gentle. They know how to remain steady when life becomes hard. They do not need every person to remain loyal. They know how to protect themselves when loyalty disappears. They do not need every plan to succeed. They know how to learn, adjust, and begin again. This is freedom. You stop fearing every loss because you know you will not lose yourself with it. You stop fearing failure because you know you can rebuild. You stop fearing solitude because your own presence no longer feels empty. Nothing outside you is guaranteed. People change. Circumstances shift. Success rises and falls. The future rarely follows the exact plan you created, but you can become someone you trust inside every change. That is the real meaning of being unbreakable. Not that life cannot wound you. Not that people cannot disappoint you. Not that failure cannot reach you. It means none of those things receives the final word. You decide what happens next. You decide whether the wound becomes wisdom or bitterness. You decide whether failure becomes information or identity. You decide whether someone leaving becomes the end of your life or the beginning of your return to yourself. Your power is in the response. So when the next storm arrives, do not ask whether you are strong enough to avoid feeling it. Ask whether you are disciplined enough to remain yourself inside it. Remember everything you have built. You faced the weaker version of yourself. You stopped negotiating with excuses. You trained your mind to follow your decisions. You learned to remain calm under pressure. You chose the pain that created growth. You rebuilt self-trust through action. You removed what kept feeding your weakness. Now live as the person those choices created. Do not return to your old identity simply because strength requires maintenance. Do not abandon the person you fought to become because one difficult day makes weakness feel familiar again. The old version of you may still whisper. It may say you cannot continue. It may remind you of past failures. It may ask you to choose comfort one more time. Let it speak, then move anyway. Your mind does not need to be silent for you to be strong. Your fear does not need to disappear for you to act. Your past does not need to be perfect for your future to become powerful. You only need to choose again. Choose discipline again. Choose courage again. Choose responsibility again. Choose yourself again. Every choice is another piece of proof that your weakness no longer commands you. You are not the person who keeps losing. You are not the person who abandons every promise. You are not the person who collapses when support disappears. You are becoming the person who can be hurt without being destroyed, tested without surrendering, and left alone without losing direction. Stand inside that identity. Protect it. Strengthen it. Carry it into every difficult room, every uncertain season, and every decision that will shape your future. Life may bend you. It may challenge everything you believe you have built. But when your identity is grounded in discipline, self-trust, responsibility, and courage, you will rise from every pressure with greater understanding. You will not remain untouched. You will become transformed. That is greater than being protected from every storm. It means every storm that fails to destroy you becomes part of the strength that carries you forward. Destroy the weak version of you, not through hatred, but through repeated proof that you no longer need to live as that person. Then become so steady, so disciplined, and so certain of your ability to rebuild that nothing outside you can permanently decide who you are. Become the person who may fall, but always rises, who may feel fear, but still moves, who may lose people but never loses themselves, and who may face darkness without forgetting the direction of the light. Become the person who cannot be broken. The weak version of you will not disappear in one dramatic moment. It will disappear each time you choose discipline over comfort, courage over fear, and action over excuses. From this moment forward, stop asking whether you feel ready. Decide who you are becoming and prove it through every choice you make. Life may test you again. People may doubt you. Pain may return. But you are no longer the person who collapses under pressure, abandons every promise, or runs back to weakness when the road becomes difficult. Stand up. Take control. Protect your mind. Keep moving until strength is no longer something you practice, but something you become. Destroy the weak version of you and rise as someone life can challenge but never break.